This is just a short demonstration video that if you have an old DOS program you wanted to use for Morse code, and I'm using a famous QRQ CW sending program back in the DOS era called CWterm, written by Dave Fries, of the same creator of FLDigi. We're using DOSbox to host his program, his DOS program, and this is what it sounds like. I'm going to send a file first. This is from W4BQF's article, How to Send CW over 70 words a minute. I'm just going to send one phrase. And as you can hear, that was excellent timing. So this is really doing a great job on Linux, using a famous program, CWterm, for the QRQ artists back in the day. You just type Alt-F to bring up the menus. This is really a cool program, and it has a great manual, and it's well worth. If you're a QRQ artist, this is well worth the effort to try to get this running, just to see how good this does. You have weight settings, words per minute, compensation. Yours may come at 10, so if it feels a little heavy, come back and put this back to 0. Tone on, tone off, so that comes off by default, I think, so you need to turn it on. Tone frequency I have set, whatever you want to set. And then you have to save the parameters. Otherwise you'll have to do it all over again the next time you bring this up. So we'll just send a little bit. Very good timing. Now, when you load this up, your DOSbox and CWterm will have a very harsh square wave. So I'm actually doing something different to get better audio. And if you're interested in that, just keep watching. And I'm going to go over that now. What we're doing is we're using a VST host to redirect the audio to this plugin here. And then this plugin triggers a code practice oscillator, so we're resending it. We're regenerating the CW with REGATE, and that keys this software code practice oscillator called sine CW. This plugin works pretty good. It has its own variable waveform and envelope choices, its own settable rise and fall time. You also have a filter, a bandpass filter. You can set it to as many hertz wide as you want just by these controls here. We have a volume control and a pitch control. So we're taking the very harsh square wave that comes out of DOSbox by itself, redirecting it to this plugin, which is a gate. So let me send that program again, and I'll show you what I mean here. We'll get something moving here, and I'll show you this REGATE plugin. So you can see the threshold's going above the line, and that's triggering this MIDI message. And over on this program, that's this green wire. So that tells, just like a piano does, it tells it what note to play on a piano. And on here, it's around 730 hertz or so. And you can vary that up and down quite a bit. That should be enough variance. By sending MIDI note 54, for this plugin here, you'll get close to 700 hertz in the mid region. Then you can go below or above that. If you need more than that, just change the MIDI note up 1 or down 1 to 53 or 55, and you'll get a different variance back and forth. So if we take this threshold on this plugin here, and this is a free plugin, and so is this one. And there are other videos that I'll have in the show notes if you're interested in getting this set up, that'll help you do this on your system too, if you're running Linux. So above the threshold you don't get anything because it's not sending any MIDI note. But as soon as that threshold gets triggered, and you can get real heavy, or you can get real light, just a little bit. But you can also change the weight very easily with DOSbox, CWterm's weight parameters, and compensation. You can go negative compensation if you like it light. So anyway, this is the main beast right here. This is what does the job. It takes that square wave from coming out of DOSbox and it converts it to a MIDI message. And this is what these are the settings that I've found it seems to work best. Okay, so we have that done. We have this going to this, and the sound comes out here. We're using jack audio on Linux. This is what that looks like. So this is where DOSbox comes out of. It goes into an AGC plugin right here, which I have set to -6. So anything that comes in will also, whether it's above or a little bit below or above, it'll make sure that what's coming out is -6 dB, and that stabilizes the REGATE plugin here, so that when you set this, you'll always get the same volume, and you can get a more accurate timing on it. So then out from those two outputs, you just go straight to the sound card, which is system, and I'm also sending it to the video recorder. And if you had another program that was like needed a mic input or some sort of a line input, you could also use just the default, and this is the default input for any other program. Say you were trying to run Skype or something, or Mumble, TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, some other kind of program that was a VoIP, or if you wanted a recorder, you would just send that audio over here, and I'm just using one channel. And so you could get both left and rights that way. And that lets you send that audio not only so you can hear it, but so that either the recording can hear it, or if you want to send this to Echolink, that's the default. This is where you're going to plug in that audio. And if you're interested in mic plugins, I'm using Zeta A2J and a USB microphone. And this is the settings. Zeta A2J, hardware 2. That's my USB mic. And you can look this stuff up, and I'll have some show notes if you're not familiar how to do this. But Zeta has a little bit better than ALSA in and ALSA out as far as resampling. So you get a little bit better audio this way. And I found this to be pretty stable. That's one of my favorite programs, is Zeta, and that's in your package manager. So it's sending it to this plugin, and this is a noise gate. And you see a lot of action below this when I'm not talking. That would be hiss and background noise, maybe fan noise, so that helps to get rid of that. That sends it on to this one. And as I'm talking, there's a little bit of variance right up this top level. That's my actual volume coming in. But what comes out is an AGC circuit that's locked at -12 dB. That goes over to a 3-band EQ, so I've adjusted the bass, mids, and treble just a little bit and lowered the outputs slightly so I don't get too much distortion. And here's a de-esser. If we bypass it, you may not hear too much difference. But that's just another program that sometimes is very helpful if the sibilants are a little bit excessive. And that was just another plugin that comes with this KXstudio, which is my most favorite Linux program of all time. All his jack audio applications, and Carla is one of my favorites. And it really, especially for ham radio and setting stuff up like this, using free VST or other, DSP-like functioning software plugins. There's so many choices. If I say add plugin, you can just look at all these. Take this over. And this, again, this is KXstudio. I'm going pretty fast here, but I just want to show you how many are already on there that you can mess with. There's a lot to mess with. So for the input, if you had a line input, I'm using my mic input for my pedals. So I'm sending about a 12 kilohertz tone into the mic jack, and that's going into that first instance right here. doing the same thing at the same settings here, only except for here I have the filter set so that only that 13 kilohertz tone gets through, or mostly just that. Anything above or below that won't be high enough to trigger this threshold. So I have paddles, and I can also use FLDigi, but for this demonstration I'm trying to use the DOSbox CWterm program. So I have both CW keyboard and paddles ready to go, and both are keying sine CW, software code practice oscillator. Sending that audio, and then with this audio you can vary it. This is why I like this VST host called Mini Host Modular, and that'll be in the show notes too. And if you had an external MIDI device, let's say you had an Arduino or a Teensy MIDI unit where you had your paddles hooked to it, you could take that MIDI, come in, and that's just a MIDI message, either external or internal, and it does the same thing. I'm just using my mouse on that piano note there, and each note has a different MIDI number. But the heart of it are these two plugins right here. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you get a chance to try DOSbox and CWterm. It's an excellent program. Thanks for watching.